So, right now in the National Hockey League, you've got some pretty good teams at the top. The New Jersey Devils are above and beyond everybody else. They're awesome. The Utah Mammoth have come out swinging. Colorado's winning. Montreal, exciting. Pittsburgh, Vegas, and then you have Carolina in a big tie with the Winnipeg Jets, Washington Capitals, Detroit Red Wings, and Seattle Kraken. But the Canes have done this all in one fewer game, so they're listed as 7th overall in the National Hockey League. Now that's pretty good, right? I'd say that the Carolina Hurricanes, they're one of the best teams in the league, and that's very fair to say. But if you take a look at who has been doing the damage on Carolina, and guys on the team that are producing, guys on the team that are given responsibility, and guys on the team that are actually playing well, yeah, you could talk about some of these guys, right? Taylor Hall got bumped up in the lineup. He's looking pretty good. Seth Jarvis, top line guy. He's been a monster lately. But down there on the third line, you've got a very particular 2nd overall pick from the 2018 draft in Andrei Svechnikov, who not only is listed on the third line right now, but who actually was listed on the 4th line for a good chunk of time earlier in the year. He's got 0 points this season. Svechnikov went from a 2nd overall guy, a player who, back in 2018, was debatably good enough to go over Rasmus Dahlin, because that conversation happened around December of 2017, I remember. And Svechnikov went from that, an absolute stud in the OHL, power forward, good shot, strong skating, and good physicality, to playing in Carolina in his first year. He had a 20-goal season to open up his NHL career. That's stellar. And within a few seasons after that, Svechnikov had 69 points in 78 games. That's really good. 30 goals, 39 assists. If he played the full season, he would have had 70 points. 70 points at 22 years old in the National Hockey League is amazing. And the years after, you just didn't really see much more. Now, his point-per-game numbers were always fine. 55 points in 64 games is passable. 52 points in 59 games, a better point-per-game number. Still passable. But in the playoffs, you started to see Svechnikov totally turn it on. Point per game in 2024. Under a point per game in 2025. Last year, Svechnikov had 48 points in 72 games played. 20 goals, 28 assists. Okay, it's not great, but his point production in the postseason, plus that 8 goals, that really does stand out. This guy turns it on in the playoffs. But this year, the 25-year-old 6'2", 198-pound left wing, left-handed forward has 0 points. And if you look at the ice time here, he was playing on the 4th line, but the 4th line in Carolina isn't necessarily like, a general 4th line. Like, you're not going to see the 4th line in Carolina get, 4, however many shifts it is per period. Like, the lowest ice time guys, 9 minutes, or excuse me, that's the other team, that's the LA Kings. Lowest ice time guys on the Carolina Hurricanes are down there at Gostisbehere got hurt, that's different, but they're all above, 11 pretty much. But Andrei Svechnikov in this game was the lowest used player that actually finished the game. That's just the LA Kings game, for example. You look at these numbers, you don't necessarily think they're that bad until you realize that Svechnikov generally just isn't being used, and he only recently got tossed back up there to the 3rd line alongside of Jordan Staal and Jordan Martinook, the 2 Jordans. Jordan Staal also happens to be a total stud on the faceoff dot, so wherever he goes, there's some pretty good opportunity to hold on to the puck. But with that in mind, the question opens up, is Svechnikov in a vulnerable spot? Is this guy able to get traded? And where to? Let's go over to Twitter and read what some Carolina Hurricanes fans are going out there and saying. Well, firstly, you had Pucksmarks going out there and saying this: is Svechnikov not improving at all and being buried on the fourth line might just mean it's time to trade him, as the team clearly can do well without his contributions. Svech might be the single biggest problem with the otherwise dominant Hurricanes at the moment. And this was posted back on October 23. Furthermore, you had this post made by the Surgecast. They go out there and talk about the Carolina Hurricanes. They asked, hey, give us your honest thoughts on Svechnikov. This was from 3 days ago. I think this needs to be more directed about what are Andrei's struggles or what is keeping him from doing inconsistent or seemingly being checked out. I think the better option is, should Rod Brind'Amour consider sitting Svechnikov out of the lineup as a healthy scratch? It's a coin toss if he's good on the ice sometimes. I still have the memory of his penalty issues that he was having, and I wonder if he's been holding back to stay out of the box. I don't know if the Canes would be better off with or without him. It's difficult to test it out with all the penalties at the time, so maybe when players get healthy, Rod should try. Another reply says that Svechnikov is Alexander Semin 2.0. Another reply says he's ass. Another reply says he's mega ass. He's been invisible. He should be traded alongside of Kotkaniemi. I feel like he's plateaued. He's gotten complacent, and his work ethic is starting to falter. Maybe Nadeau coming in, and if he can jump Seth and work and take his spot away, might wake him up. Otherwise, maybe it's time to find a new fit. Now, this is one of the more liked replies. Superstar with imposter syndrome thanks to doubt creeping in from injuries, underwhelming performances, and being bounced around in lineups. The guy could easily find himself again if he knew his exact role and make a huge comeback. But I think he's so in his head that he's lost. Furthermore, you had yourselves folks on the Detroit Red Wings subreddit going out there and asking, hey, who are some distressed assets that the Wings would want? We've had a couple of who could we trade for posts come true. I'm wondering who we could buy low on in exchange for another team buying low on our guys. I think everyone agreed that Berggren, Comfer, and Rass, and Hall and Gus are candidates for a trade in the right situation, quote-unquote. But paying a premium to be rid of them when we've got cap space is silly. So who are the guys other teams are having the same conversations about? This could enable the Wings to improve the team without giving up picks necessarily. A couple people who come to mind are Lafreniere and Zadorov, but I'm curious to know if anyone else has a read on who is at risk for their team, especially if they fit a role with the Wings. Top comment here says, yeah, Andrei Svechnikov has been pretty invisible so far for Carolina, and his role seems to be decreasing. He's a perennially overrated player, but would still be an upgrade here. I like the player, but the cost would still be prohibitive for him unless he stinks all year. If that's the case, though, why would we want him? If St. Louis keeps sucking you, might be able to get Buchnevich for half of what it would cost for Svechnikov. Another comment says he kind of reminds me of Tarasenko. Kind of Timu Tarasenko, and that's not what the roster needs right now. I'd rather have Buchelnikov. Another reply says that a problem with Svech is that he looks worse after the injury. He's slow and isn't at the same level. I'd take a cheap flyer, but I'd also be somewhat careful with a move for Andrei Svechnikov. And what's also interesting is that there are a few posts on Twitter that are like, oh hey, Andrei Svechnikov sucks right now. Detroit should go out there and get this guy because his brother is Evgeny Svechnikov, who was taken by the Red Wings in the draft all those years ago. And yeah, Evgeny Svechnikov is a name that you probably haven't heard in a long time because he's been in the KHL the past few years. But Evgeny was a Detroit Red Wings prospect for quite a while, and he didn't end up panning out in the right ways. He played at some point, and that's fine, but if his brother is having a little bit of struggles in the Hurricane system right now, I do wonder, could Detroit be an option here? Is it even possible for this guy? I'm not sure. If you're a Hurricanes fan, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comments section. How do you feel about the idea of this guy being traded? If you enjoyed this video, feel free to hit the like button. If you didn't, the dislike button is down there for you as well. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.